Hey, Fanboy Nation.
This is your pal Daffy Duck, and you're watching.
We're watching Fanboy.
A fanboy, etc.
Fanboy Nation.
Dot, I assume Tom.
The movie Hell Hath No Fury comes to theaters on November 5th and on VOD November 9th. I am speaking with the star of the film, Nia Bergman. How are you today?
I'm doing great.
Listen, you get to play an action heroine that uses her traditional feminine wiles instead of trying to be a 6'5", 300-pound, muscle-bound behemoth, punching his way through everything.
I mean, I couldn't have said it better.
Well, it's kind of become customary in Western films that a petite woman, and you're not petite, you're about 5'6", but you are a very slender woman, to sit there and go, all right, at 5'6", 115 pounds, I'm going to beat up this 6'8", 400-pound man, and it's going to be believable, almost in the sense that it is in professional wrestling. But yet, throughout history, we've seen women, even if we go into biblical times, Delilah and the way she tricked Samson into confessing where his strength was and betraying him and giving up his secrets. Your character in this film, Hell Hath No Fury, does a bit more of a Delilah thing, but it is a very necessary survival tactic because in this regard, you're the heroine, not the villainess.
Very true. Very true. Yeah, I mean, Marie's superpower is her mind, right? That's she doesn't have the physical strength, so she has the courage, and and her mind. That's her tools.
And when you are facing the VC French and the Nazis, you have to outwit them as best you can.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, you have no choice. I'm a victim in my lingerie and they're twice my size, and I'm malnourished, and So yeah.
Well,
no.
I mean, for the historical references, Jesse Johnson did a great job in going back to the World War II era and showing that these women were stripped, were beaten, had their heads shaved, had so much going on against them, and demoralized. And your character goes exactly through those moments.
I mean, very true. Yeah, I thought it was really great of him to show, because I didn't know that, these women back then were the unsung heroes. The resistant fighters would be sent out to date the Nazis to gather information. And a lot of the women, when I did research, I couldn't find any information because a lot of the survivors, it was so tragic. And, once they get caught, the punishment, my character Marie went to Ravensbrück for 3 years. It was so horrific that a lot of the survivors didn't talk about it when they finally got out and survived. So it was hard to find material, and it's not something that's talked about, but it was very common. So I'm so glad that Jesse gave these women a voice, so people were made aware of them, because it was, as I said, very common. There was quite a few of them.
Jesse, because it is a very heavy topic, and this is a very powerful film, not only as an action film but as a historical commentary. I had to break the tension a little bit with Jesse and crack a few jokes. You're Danish. Dom is from Belgium. He speaks multiple languages. There's quite a few people that are polyglots on this set. Did you guys ever just start speaking in different languages just to badmouth Jesse a little bit and go, the Englishmen and their monolinguistic behaviors?
No, it wasn't really that kind of atmosphere on set. I'm a hardcore method, and everyone, I think on this particular movie kind of, went that way too. I'm one of those that can't snap in and out of character. I'm not very good at that. So for me, it was like, however, I can't remember how many months of hell of just living in that world. So I wasn't very chipper and cracking a lot of jokes, because I wasn't really that kind of set. I can't. Normally I am pretty chipper and cracking jokes, but in this case, I was,
The only thing you cracked was almost Dominic's skull at that point.
Yeah, I know.
We heard the story that you actually took the actual lead pipe instead of the padded one and struck him in the head in one of the scenes.
Yeah, it was Jesse. He's like, you take the thing and you hit him, but and it has foam on the outside, but I didn't know what was on the inside. And in my defense, the stunt team should have told me so. And as I said, I'm always in character, so I took, this is what the whole movie about is this gold. And you remember, this gold is like taken from her parents' teeth, from their wedding rings. This is the thing she hates the most, right? And so I took all of her power and rage, and I just whacked him as hard as I could in the head with this foam thing, I thought. And you just hear clunk, and you just...
Listen, I know it's vengeance for European Cup 1990 that you're still holding a grudge for. And
I know. But I mean, if I had to do it to anyone, Dominique was the best, because I don't know if you know of his backstory. He's pretty tough. I mean, he's the toughest one on that set, So if I had to really damage someone, that would be him. But then, we went even, because then he tackled me later, and then my back went out. He just like tackled me. I was like, no, it's acting tackle, not like tackling me. Like I'm running, and he's like, wah! So then my back was out for half the movie, so I was in so much pain. But hey,
Well, he is a legionnaire, so that training comes in at some point.
Yeah.
For a film like this, and you being European and literally 2 countries over, how do you tell your grandparents or your parents, I'm doing a World War II movie that, I studied in school that you might have lived through?
Yeah. I thought I was pretty educated because I grew up in Denmark, and, we do learn a lot about World War II. But when I started doing the research, I learned I really didn't have a clue of what was really happening. You can't really fathom what these people went through, So I think my family, they're extremely happy because, it's, you feel the effects, you know what I mean? My mom's first husband, he would still have like a robe in the window that his dad taught him. In case anything happened, he would always have to live on the ground floor. He could like crawl out of his apartment and take the rope down. You know what I mean? Like people were deeply affected by it. My older brothers, we have a different dad, and that was the dad. World War II. I mean, they had issues with these. They'll be taken to museums when they're like 4 or 5 years old and seeing all these images. You know what I mean? So it's like it's a big deal over there in Europe, and we are very much aware of it. And I think we talk about it a little more than over here, because it's really not that long ago. It's not.
Our fascination from the American perspective is slightly different than the European one. So it's more of the heroism and the war and putting your life on the line and sacrifice versus, the daily struggle of the civilian. We look at it from the soldier perspective because it wasn't on our ground that it happened. So it's a slightly different worldview in that regard. But the funny thing, watching this movie and then you telling me about your siblings and whatever else, it reminds me of a friend of mine who was born and raised in the Soviet Union. And his response was, we knew if we went to war with the United States, we'd win. And I asked him how. He said, because since kindergarten, they took us to the bomb factories and the military factories and toured us around, showing us all our artillery, that we weren't scared of the Americans. So it's an interesting perspective in how that works from 2 totally different worldviews.
Yeah, my dad is Russian, and I studied in Moscow, so I was raised kind of with that mentality too. But now, having lived in both places and knowing the culture, my dad says, and I have to agree with him, that the only difference between the Americans and the Russians are the language. It's like it's this. The thinking is very similar. Very similar. Russia is the greatest, America is the greatest, like in Denmark it's like the opposite. We're like, oh no, don't worry about us. We just, kind of more like Marie, actually. the quiet one in the corner that you got to watch out for.
You and the Dutch. The Dutch sit there and fly under the radar, but they are some of the most skilled martial arts fighters on the planet.
Yes.
Yeah. So it's something in the water over there in Northern Europe that you guys are hiding from the rest of us.
It's the training. Went to school. Yeah, it's the training. The training is, when I went to the Bolshoi Theater in Moscow, it's the hardest thing I've ever done. Like, the training is insane. Like, just insane.
At this point, you have 6 passports, it sounds like, that you're collecting. I mean, your father's Russian, your mother's Danish, you were born in Denmark, you lived in Russia, you studied in England, you're in the United States. Like, is your wall just wallpapered with national certificates of citizenship at this point?
I do feel very international, but yet again, I feel at home here, so it's very interesting. This is where I feel the most home.
In the U.S.?
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah, definitely.
Where are you in LA or are you in other?
I'm in LA.
Okay. Well, we have a large
New York, probably, yeah.
Yeah, but we have a large Russian population in the West Coast, so of course you should feel at home when you're in LA.
I don't fit in with the Russians.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know where all the Danish are, so.
There's like 3 of us over here or something. Right. Yeah, we're tiny. We're a tiny little country.
And you won't tell anybody where you guys are anyway, because apparently you guys are that secretive and wily.
We are. Like, I don't really know. Oh, no, not true. The makeup artist on Ave Marie, I brought her. She's Danish. I worked with her before. She's Danish because I wanted to work on the accent and I wanted to feel more European, and she's phenomenal. So I had my Danish pal on the set with me, and we did speak a lot of shit behind people's back in Danish.
See, I knew it was going to come out eventually that somebody did something where they were bad-mouthing the other kid. Uh-huh.
There's like no girls in this movie. You know what I mean? There was like the stylist and makeup and me. The rest was testosterone-driven martial arts dudes.
So not only was it female commisery, it was Danish trash talking on top of it.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
I mean, it just
the truth comes out. I see what it's like. Yeah. When I spoke with Jesse and Dominic, they said that you guys actually stayed at the camps. Like, you guys didn't go back to and live in trailers. You didn't live in hotels. You stayed as close to the set as possible. Yeah, I mean, I understand it was COVID, but like, it wasn't this big grand, we're going to, the Ritz or the Four Seasons or something.
No, I mean, I wanted to, my request was I had to stay like walking distance from the set because of the character. And I didn't have a lot of time to prepare. I needed to be in a bubble and to like be on the 405 here in LA, driving back and forth. I mean, I needed to just go like that. And so, yeah, we lived in a house, walking distance from the set. So it was fantastic because then you can like isolate in that world. I mean, it literally felt like I was living there, I would even go across the street when nobody was there and just do my little sense memory, the grave where my parents were, just do my crazy method acting stuff, but I have to do whatever I have to do to make it real, right? So, I couldn't have done it if it wasn't in chronological order. It was shot in chronological order, and, I needed to stay that close. So they Jesse is fantastic that way. He honored that. Yeah.
How do you come down from a shoot like this with this level of intensity and method acting that you're there for, X amount of months and days filming a film like this, to now go, all right, I'm going to go back and be Nina instead and just relax and, realize that you're saving a lot of money on shampoo after they shave your head?
Yeah, I mean, the torturous thing was we shot and then they had a few months off and then we had to do reshoots. So I had to keep that hair, I had to keep the weight down because I lost some weight, and I call it the post-depression, because whenever you do something like that, and especially a character like that, I speak in a French accent pretty much all the time. I live in that world, and then coming back to reality, and you have to like, you know, I don't know, everything seems very dull. I'm living in the 1930s, and I am, living in this fight or flight mode, and you're completely obsessed, and I'm sleeping 3 hours at night, and I'm crying myself to sleep every night from all the studying I'm doing, and I'm just living in this crazy whirlwind, and then boom, you wake up and you're like, okay, are we gonna have cereal for breakfast, or what are we gonna, you know what I mean? It's very weird, because I'm one of those people, I'll only listen to 1930s music, like French jazz. I would drink tea out of a certain teacup I would do whatever she would do, and then all of a sudden it's just I'm going to Starbucks.
So I take it your next movie is going to be a Christmas movie, just so you can calm down and be cheery for a few months.
I did right after I did a comedy called what is it? Don't Try This Alone. I did a comedy that they're finishing up right now. Yeah, I had to. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I do have to ask, since you are since you are one of 7 children, are you the baby?
No, I'm in the middle.
Ah.
Yeah, so I don't look like them. I don't fit in. I'm kind of like, they're all in Denmark. They're normal.
So the middle child is the one that had to act up and put on characters to get her parents' attention, is what you're telling me.
Yeah, basically. I mean, damn, I should just have paid you. I'd have saved so much money instead of going to my shrink.
I'll fix you in 20 minutes. We'll be good to go.
Thanks.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm fixable, but
Yeah. We'll get some pierogies and some Danish pastries, a cup of coffee, and we'll be good to go. That's it.
Yeah, just make sure that it's vegan, just to complicate things a little.
Just to complicate things a little bit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it has to be vegan, otherwise it's not going to go in my mouth.
All right. So the spinach stuffed ones will be good to go.
Yes. Yes.
See, we'll keep it healthy.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Vegan. You can't make it easy. You just have to make it vegan on top of it.
Yeah, I just did, they're my friends. I don't want to eat them. It's, I'm a very compassionate person. What can I say?
Until you're beating up Nazis in Hell Hath No Fury, which is available November 5th in theaters and November 9th on VOD.
I actually don't beat them up.
Mentally. It's the mental challenge.
I do.
Yeah. Mental torture is worse than physical torture.
I know.
Yeah.
I learned a lot from Marie, I tell you that. I learned a lot from her.
Well, what's something that you can share with us without giving too much of a spoiler of the film?
That I learned, or just about the film?
Well, both.
Both. I think, a lot of people, when they see the trailer, they think it's an action movie. There is some great action scenes in there, but for me, it was a love story about, a French resistance fighter, and her parents were killed by an SS officer, and she starts dating him to get information, and then they fall in love. So to me, it was a love story. So that's in there throughout the movie that a lot of people don't know, that I think is important aspect of the movie. And what did I learn from Marie? I learned that vulnerability is my superpowers. I sometimes put up the walls, I work out, I will punch you in the face, and I'm loud, I'm in your face. And Marie is just a quiet one in the corner, and she's a victim, and she's no physical strength. And sometimes I'm like, Nina, just zip it and just sit back in the corner, and just wait for your turn, like Marie. And her vulnerability, Marie's vulnerability, like when I first got the character, almost scared me. Like, I'm not that vulnerable in real life, So I had to go there for her, and I was like, wow, I learned a lot from her.
See, that's that Russian blood talking. That's your father's side of the family coming up.
I think so, yeah. I think so, because I'm a little, I have the Russian and the Danish, and they're opposite. So, I think thank God, because otherwise maybe I couldn't have tapped into it to play her, because he's so complex. She has so many layers. So, yeah, in that sense, I learned a lot. I'm more quiet now. I'm more vulnerable.
See, it's the quiet ones we have to worry about.
I know.
Yeah. It's something I learned a long time ago. Always be scared of the quiet ones.
I know. And that's her. She is. She's the quiet one. And to tell you the truth, you know, after researching of what it was like to be in Ravensbrück for 3 years and falling in love with the SS officer and doing what she needs to do, I would never have done it. I would have given up. I would have thrown in the towel. I wouldn't have lasted as long as she did. I don't think I would have made it to the finish line. Um, and so, I mean, I just have so much respect for her. I have to say, which I love playing characters like that you know, can learn from, and to be in her shoes gives you, you know, it makes you a little bit stronger, you know. Yeah, in that sense, I learned from her because, as I said, I would have given up. Like, she went through hell. I mean, she really did.
All right. So if you know in your personal life, this is something that you would have self-deletion or just broken heart or whatever, that you would have not made it to the finish line the way Marie did, what would be something that you think at least you would be willing to struggle and strive for the way she was able to survive?
I think she has a vision, a mission, you know, no objective from the very beginning. And even though there was like no way in hell she was going to get there, all she did was just one foot in front of the other, like tiny little baby steps. And the whole time when I was reading the script the first time, I was like, you know what I mean? All the time, like so I think that's what you know, I have my dreams and my aspirations, and sometimes when you look at the big picture, it's just overwhelming. Like, if I think about it, you know, I was like 16 and moved to America and I didn't know anyone, you know, slept on a bench in Central Park. Like, if I have thought about the big picture, how I was going to survive, I would never have come, you know. But you just, baby steps, you know what I mean? So I try to do that when I sometimes feel overwhelmed because of this business. It's crazy, you know what I mean? It doesn't matter where you are. Sometimes it's overwhelming, and, you know, like life, you know. So I think the key is, like her, she just, I don't think she had necessarily a plan. She just knows what, she knew what she wanted, and she knew she was gonna, you know, do whatever it took, and she did. She's
I
doing
like that. I like
yeah,
that.
yeah.
All right. So my Russian, Danish, now American vegan friend on that's going to be on your card, and your card is going to be a 5x7 instead of just a standard business card. It's just going to have all these different things listed, nationality and dietary restrictions.
I think it's going to scare people away. I mean, normally you get a business card to, like, hey, remember me and call. Like, people are going to get my business card and they're going to go, ah!
Right.
Run.
You know, it's going to be like those lifeline bracelets that they had for people with various allergies. You know, now we're just going to have you're going to have a gauntlet. It's just going to be a metal gauntlet with all your allergies and mandatory requirements.
Yeah.
But again, November 5th, Hell Hath No Fury, in theaters and on VOD. Tell people that are willing to go to the theater why they should see it in the theater. Tell people that are still weary of going outside why they need to watch it at home. And where can we find you on social media if we want to connect with you?
Okay, I'll start backwards. Social media is just my name, Nina Bergman. Instagram is where I'm most active, or Nina Bergman, on my website, ninabergman.com. And I would say theaters, because it's just shot so beautifully, the music, the scenery, the coloring, to get the full effect. I mean, you have to see it in theaters, and just wear a mask. Get the N95, you know what I mean? And just wear your mask. And if you must, watch it at home, but not on your laptop. Because it's really beautifully shot, and I think to really get, it's kind of an epic movie, even though it's independent, it feels very epic. So to watch it on a tiny screen, you just don't get the epicness of the movie, I feel. That's my pitch.